All right, welcome back to another episode of Match B2B Insights. And today we're getting into something everyone says they're doing, but so few actually build: a real operational revenue system. I'm Brenda, here with Daniel Weiss and Benny Fluman. Daniel, you're always saying the system has to be defined before anyone starts running around doing activities. Want to kick us off?
Yes, thanks, Brenda. I see so many teams jump right into demand gen, sales outreach, trade shows, you name it, before they've even clarified what the system is actually supposed to deliver for them, especially given their buyers' current maturity. Before you launch another campaign, you have to ask, what tangible outcome must this revenue system produce right now? Not a generic pipeline number, but something real for where our buyers are.
It's like the classic Israeli approach. Let's start running. But if you're running in the wrong direction, you don't care how fast you go. I've seen founders confuse having a tech stack or LinkedIn posts with real architecture. Daniel, you always push to separate the high-level system design, architecture, from all the tactical stuff people love to focus on.
Exactly. You need to diagnose where there's activity without clarity. People busy, but is it actually connected to the stage your buyers are at? If you can't show where that connection is, you don't have control, you just have motion.
And I think most listeners, if you're honest, you probably have at least one area that's more activity than actual system output. I know I've been there. So let's talk buyer maturity. It's not just about leads. We're mapping readiness, right?
Absolutely, Brenda. If you treat every inbound the same, you're missing the point. You need a map from that first exposure point, all the way through to real purchase intent. What actual behaviors show that a buyer has changed stage, instead of us assuming because they downloaded a white paper?
Oh, totally. It's like someone checking out a chess book. They're curious, but they might not buy a set yet. I see so many companies prematurely scale just because their activity dashboard has gone up. If you're running paid ads before you've verified buyer readiness, you end up burning budget and time.
Yes, and mapping true stage progression means preventing those costly misalignments. Coordinating your execution with actual buyer signals keeps the system honest and efficient.
Building on that, before revenue even happens, there's got to be clarity. What's our ideal customer profile? What's the real problem we solve? If marketing, SDR, and sales each have a different answer, the buyer's going to feel it.
You have to lock down a single, shared ICP definition. Otherwise, messaging gets messy fast, and inconsistency kills trust. Your early conversations? They're not for shoving solutions down throats. They're for validating that your understanding of the problem matches theirs.
Couldn't agree more. I remember once, 3 SDRs on a client's team were each using a totally different script. One focused on features, one on cost savings, one just rambled. Disaster. It all starts with aligning that first asset, clarity.
All right, let's shift. Companies confuse authority for more followers or more reach, but that's not what moves deals, is it?
Exactly, Brenda. Authority is not about how loud you shout online, it's the reduction of buyer uncertainty. Are you making it easier for them to decide? That's all that counts. Any content you put out has to directly answer real questions buyers have at each stage. If it doesn't help buyers become more confident, it's just noise.
Activity for activity's sake. Posting every day, running webinars, dumping out blog posts. It doesn't matter if it's not anchored in buyer decision making. If your content calendar doesn't support confidence, you're spinning your wheels.
So, the journey. Not just a funnel drawn by marketing, but actual steps buyers take, right?
Yes, map every buyer decision, not just your internal BANT stages. Where do buyers hesitate? Where do they ask for more info or stall entirely? Those are the friction points. Your journey map needs to highlight those, so system priorities and ownership flow from actual buyer movement, not just from what marketing owns versus what sales owns.
Exactly, Daniel. I've seen B2B journeys where the handoff between SDR and sales is like passing a baton on a foggy day. Nobody knows who's holding it. Decision path mapping changes that. It's all about guiding, not guessing.
Let's drill down into early engagement, because a like isn't a buying signal, and everyone gets those mixed up.
Yes, Brenda, separating signal from noise here is critical. Vanity engagement, like event registrations, likes, soft comments, that's not real buying behavior. You need to define which interactions show buyers are actually learning or moving forward, not just clicking around.
I always tell clients, don't chase more unless you know it's better. You want qualified learning and readiness markers. Otherwise, you're basically optimizing volume for no reason, which, let's be honest, we've all done before.
Speaking of better, content isn't just for branding anymore. Now it's decision enablement, right?
Correct. Content's job is to help buyers make decisions, not just to tell the world you exist. You have to match formats and topics to the real concerns of specific buyer roles. Technical leads want details, business leads want risk mitigation stories, and great content does double duty, builds organic trust, and gives your sales team the talking points they need.
Yeah, and if your sales reps never use your assets, that's a red flag. Content should grease the wheels, not sit in a Google Drive black hole.
We went deep on trust in a previous episode, and this fits. Organic channels aren't quick wins, but more like layers of credibility over time, right?
Yes, spot on. Organic activity, especially in B2B, is long-haul stuff. It's recognition and recall that you're after. Too many teams get impatient and want to equate organic with leads. If you treat organic efforts as a shortcut around system design, you're missing the real value.
That's right. Organic presence supports the system, but never replaces the need for actual architecture and ownership. If anything, it makes your operation more resilient.
Okay, let's get into outreach. When do you actually pull that trigger?
Outbound only works if your system is ready to learn from it. If you launch before you know who you're targeting or what message lands, you just create friction and annoy prospects. Only introduce outreach once your context, positioning, and ICP are sharp. Otherwise, you're hiding unclear positioning behind more emails.
Absolutely. I've seen companies blast cold emails to try to fix their pipeline. Guess what? More outreach doesn't fix broken clarity. You have to match the outreach intent and format to where buyers actually are. Force it and you burn credibility.
Let's talk SDRs. This one's close to home for lots of listeners. Daniel, you're big on shifting SDR focus from pumping numbers to generating quality insight, right?
Indeed, the most mature revenue systems treat SDRs as frontline intelligence, not just appointment setters. Insight and consistent qualification are their success metrics. You want standardized workflows mapped to the buyer journey, and you need fast feedback loops with sales. Catch misalignments early before they pollute your pipeline.
Yeah, and SDRs drowning in scripts with no context. That's a recipe for wasted headcount. Get their loops set up right, and you'll spot friction before it snowballs.
Now, let's shift to sales. So much of what we hear is close harder, push faster. But the decision-enabling approach is actually what works, right? Sell clarity, not pressure?
Exactly. Sales has to move away from persuasion theatre towards supporting buyers in aligning all their internal priorities and concerns. Instead of rushing to close, start by spotting who's at the table and what's holding up alignment. It's about being a facilitator, not a pusher.
And, the more stakeholders you identify early, the fewer last-minute objections. Help the buyer build consensus, and you'll close faster. Ironically, by slowing down early.
Speaking of stakeholders, single contact deals are rare in B2B now. Benny, you've called this everyone at the chessboard. Want to run with it?
Absolutely. In complex sales, mapping out Not just one champion, but the full buying group is non-negotiable. Who's skeptical? Who's a budget gatekeeper? Package your support and explanations role by role. One champion can move a deal, but whole groups decide it. Don't get blindsided by objections you didn't prep for.
Agreed. Asset preparation for each role, finance, IT, procurement, that's how you avoid the deal stuck in limbo symptom.
All right, let's get back to the pain advantage we talk about so much. Where does real pain fit as a signal in the system?
Pain is the truest marker that your system is working. If you consistently hear the same pain in conversations, that means your discovery, messaging, and clarity are aligned. If your pipeline has no pain, you're probably wandering too far from your true positioning or trying to force activity at the wrong stage.
No clear pain? No deal. It's that simple. Pain aligned across journeys is the sign your architecture is honest.
Which brings us to pricing. Daniel, aligning pricing logic with buyer risk. How does that work in the system?
Every price you present should reflect the buyer's exposure and the value you're providing, not just a margin plus calculation. Is the buyer's risk high? Your pricing needs to match, and so should your risk mitigation stories. If not, you'll either lose trust or bleed margin.
Pitch a low price to a high-risk buyer, they'll actually trust you less. Pricing that doesn't align with their perceived business risk never lands. Simple as that.
Let's talk tech. Tool stacks everywhere. But tools shouldn't replace systems, just amplify them, yeah?
Definitely. Tools can speed things up, automate steps, or give visibility. But if the underlying process is broken, you're just automating chaos. Use tools to reinforce what's already working, not to paper over structural gaps or confusion.
Classic shiny object syndrome. You see a new SaaS platform and hope it'll fix things. But if there's no clarity underneath, it just makes mistakes happen faster.
And automation. So tempting to let bots take over, but the risk is you lose discipline, right?
Exactly. Automation is a discipline enhancer, not replacement for judgment. You need boundaries. Where does automation help, and where does it risk making things fuzzy? Always monitor the impact, both for buyers and for your internal clarity. Don't let bots start making decisions you haven't defined.
Automate the known, human the unknown. If you cross the line, you wake up with a system that's not yours anymore, and probably more confused than before.
And sticking with tech for a sec, AI, right now, is moving fast in B2B. But Daniel, you're clear that AI is a support tool, not the decision engine.
Yes, use AI to accelerate analysis, prep, and even some synthesis, but don't let it drive qualification or prioritization independently. Human judgment still has to own the outcome. The danger is creating an illusion of control or scale. AI might just let bad processes spread wider, faster.
Yeah, AI is like that trusted assistant you want, but if you make it the CEO, it throws a party. Then the house burns down. Keep it where it belongs.
Which leads right into measurement. There's so much data, but is it helping, or is it just reporting for reporting's sake?
You have to redefine which metrics actually indicate funnel progression, not just volume. Align sales and marketing on the same funnel definitions. Cut dashboards back. Do they show you what decisions to make next, or are they just pretty charts?
If the dashboard doesn't influence a decision, it's just extra noise. Bring it back to decision-grade visibility. Less is more, every time.
Let's get a bit structural. Daniel, you're big on assigning clear ownership. Why does governance matter so much for revenue systems?
Ownership is how systems avoid fragmentation. Assign responsibility to each stage, make rules for how changes or experiments enter the system, and document everything. Otherwise, you end up with overlapping tools and shadow processes. Governance keeps the machine running and learning, not breaking every time someone leaves or someone new joins.
Yes, and the moment you have hidden flows or unclear handoffs, that's where risk and wasted effort pile up. Simple rules, visible responsibilities.
So, when you want to grow, most teams just add more tools. But that adds fragility, right?
Absolutely. Don't confuse scalability with tool accumulation. The goal is architecture. Are your processes, knowledge, and outcomes transferable? If growth adds risk or makes handoffs brittle, you're scaling fragility. Build things so when you grow, the risk doesn't balloon with volume.
Totally. It's like a chess opening. You want variation, but not to expose your king. Make sure people, logic, and flows move with you, not just shiny new things.
And let's make this painfully clear. Too often, it's tools that start running the show. How do you spot when that's happening?
Look for where tools have replaced clarity or ownership. Find overlaps, redundancies, or hidden dependencies in your stack. When the system is just the sum of your software and not your team's shared understanding, you've lost the plot.
Yeah, tech stack creep is real. Always re-anchor to your shared definitions and flows, not your latest subscription.
So let's wrap with alignment. We hit this a lot in episode 8. But Daniel, what's your framework for locking sales and marketing together?
It starts with regular, structured communication channels, not just, hey, what's up, but true collaborative sessions. Align messaging, narratives, and feedback from real pains and risks surfaced in both teams. Push joint reviews, lead quality, deal progression, and pattern analysis. Don't optimize in silos. Optimize as a unit.
Exactly. The best companies I see have those shared rhythms. So when something's off, they fix it together. It's all about cross-pollination, not turf wars.
All right, let's bring it home. Moving from look how many activities to actual revenue accountability. Daniel, final thoughts?
Forget activity reports. Focus on outcomes. Who owns what result? When buyers stall or drop off, who's accountable for learning and fixing the system? Accountability isn't blame. It's about making sure feedback leads to learning and evolution for the whole revenue operation.
Yeah, own the gaps. Don't hide them. Move the team from who did what to who learned what and what changed for next time. That's where growth happens.
Couldn't agree more. That's a wrap for today. Huge thanks to Daniel, Benny, and thanks to our listeners for sticking with us. We've got a lot more on building strong revenue operations coming up, so subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time on Match B2B Insights. Daniel, Benny, always a pleasure.
Always great. Thank you both.
Thanks, Brenda, Daniel. Talk soon.